Hello everyone. So here my name is Greg, and today we're going to present you what we did over the last year to be able to tackle and crack the MMC market. So to change from the challenger position to the game changer one. And so my name is Greg. Again, I'm managing the team implementing the MMC project. So I'm leading the department where we have all the business analysts and the project manager at Odoo, and I'm doing that for the last 7 years, and I'm working at Odoo for now 15 years.
Hello everybody, my name is Charlotte. I've been working for Odoo for about almost 8 years in direct sales on smaller projects, then in his team for about 4 to 5 years, implementing large projects, and then I came back in sales and I'm taking care of the MMC team. I'm managing the team of the salespeople that are helping customers to see if Odoo can actually fit their needs and help them decide what would be the best strategy. You can see here a QR code. If you have questions, I recommend you to scan it, and if you have a question, you can write down the question on the pad. We won't be able to answer the question during the talk, but we will come back to it at the end of the presentation. You can also write down the link there if you don't have any phone that can scan a QR code. Okay. First of all, the question that I want to answer is that why did we create the MMC team? Because actually we have always worked on large projects. We did it more on a case-by-case on opportunities, and we kind of did it in what we will call the Open ERP style. Open ERP is the old name of Odoo. It was pretty much the best we could with what we had, meaning that we had a product that was already quite good, but not what it is today. So it was not mature enough. And we did it with a team that was not as experienced as today. And we kind of worked a lot, and then now we've been working on large projects also in what we call the Odoo style. Meaning that we create a dedicated team to crack the market, a dedicated team of project directors, of business analysts, of developers, of specialist salespeople, and we kind of had to organize ourselves internally. We faced a lot of issues, a lot of challenges. We had some success, some less successful project, but in which we did the best we could. We improved a lot, and today here are the numbers. So these are the numbers since the creation of the team. So in 2019, we worked a lot on RFQs, or request for quotation, request for proposal. It's the same. We worked a lot on ROI analysis. It's what we call today the discovery analysis or the gap analysis. I will have the opportunity to explain that in details a little bit later in the presentation. And we implemented more than 100 projects only with this dedicated team. The objective is to continue to grow and to grow faster. But it's not only about these numbers. It's also about all the subjects we've been working on and improving for the past years to be able today to be seen as a real challenger and not the outsider anymore. We've been working a lot on how Odoo is organized globally. I will explain you a little bit after. We worked a lot on the features and of the product. We are not only a product for SMEs anymore, and Gregory will explain you high level why we are strong enough for the corporate market too. We worked also in how much effort we had to invest in the pre-sales phase. The pre-sales meaning all the contact we have with customer before engaging the customer in the implementation or the discovery analysis. And obviously we adapted the methodology that we already had for smaller projects for really big ones, and we will explain you also how. So the Odoo organization itself, I think most of you already know it, but I think it's a good reminder that you see that today these are all the offices that Odoo has in the world. So it's pretty much a presence that is in every continent. It's an asset in terms of support, obviously, because we can support pretty much every time zone, but also in terms of language and on local expertise. That means that today, of course, we have the HQ here in Belgium, where I like to call it as the center of excellence, but we are used now to work with local teams from Odoo itself to implement international projects and be able to work hand by hand as Odoo editor. We also collaborate with local partners that have the local requirements, the local expertise, and knows about the local compliancy that is the local requirement that we need to comply with.
Okay, so about the product, that's true that Odoo is often labeled as a software that suits only for SMEs. But here, this morning, Fabien showed that we also have features that can fit for the MMC market. And so here the R&D worked a lot on many features, many applications, to refill those needs and be able to crack the market and be seen as a game changer on this ecosystem. But here we did not only work on the software, we also worked on the platform, and here as a reminder, I put here the main focus, I would say, of the R&D, and the main focus of Odoo as a solution is the efficiency, because here we want to provide the best tool and the most efficient tool to employee to reduce the time spent in the encoding or on the low value task, to really be able to focus people on what brings value to the company. We want to have a generalist approach, a generalist software that can fit any company in terms of size, in terms of industry, and in terms of complexity. From the very small one with only one employee to the big corporation with thousands of employees across the world. We also want to have the most usable software, meaning that we want a software that does not need a huge investment in terms of training, that people can restart from scratch from our page online and start working with Odoo. And that's for the SMEs, but also for the big companies. Because here we all know that the change management and a training approach on such company can represent a massive budget. So the lower it is, the best budget we can allocate to the development and configuration of Odoo. And here, the last topic is about the innovation. We want to stay up to date and follow a bit the market to see what the new technology, the new technique, the new features can bring to the market. And so we continue to move very fast in terms of features, technology, and software. So here, as I said, we did not only work on the product Odoo itself. We also improved our platform Odoo SH, which can be a strong asset to approach and crack this market. Because here, before that, we had to deploy on-premise servers. It was really a heavy stuff to do, and companies tend to externalize those kind of stuff. So here, we provide you with this platform where we wanted to provide like a full automated and integrated platform where all the features and all the tools of Odoo can be used. And we wanted to be able to tackle more and more and bigger companies. So here we now offer the capacity to scale the machine and to be able to handle like high volume and a lot of transaction. We also offer the ability to connect external tools directly to database, like a BI tool. If you want to summarize some data from different tools, you can directly do it on Odoo SH. And here, one of the most important feature we brought recently is the ability for European clients to host only their data in Europe and not having backup stored in Canada. So now, as of today, for new European client, all the data will be stored in Europe. And here the rollout will be done to be finished by end of Q2 of next year. So here, we also worked on the product in all the areas, of course. So here in finance, we brought different applications like the equity application, the new bank reconciliation, the audit report that we can provide, but also some other aspects such as compliance for the invoicing to be able to tackle all the markets around the world. We added some OCR capacity, some consolidation capacity as well, and some analytic plan, and many other features around finance to really be able to provide all the features that were missing for those kind of companies and avoid them to spend too much time in encoding data inside the system. On the localization as well, as I said, we want to conquer the entire world, and so we want to have the ability to deploy Odoo in any countries. So here the R&D put a strong focus on the localization package, both in terms of accounting package, but also on payroll package. So we can really address all those kind of features around the world, regardless the country. On the logistic, we wanted to really streamline it to smooth the entire, I would say, supply chain, from the purchase of goods based on the last orders, based on the tendency, the frequency, the vacation, etc., but also on the planning side, based on the MPS feature, and also the ability to really dispatch all the order and make sure that we deliver the product fast enough. Another feature that we brought recently in the V19 is all the AI features. We really want to be able to remove all the low task value, as I said before, and also to boost the interaction between the user and Odoo. So here, as of V19, you can really generate and use this kind of feature to really help you to extract the data and make the best use of it, like building some reporting, building some graph, to analyze some data, to be able to enrich also the data you have inside Odoo. So really this kind of feature is not only, I would say, a buzzword or some gadget we want to add because this is a trend at the moment. We want to make sure that this is really useful for the user. And of course, we brought many more other small features, like the ESG application, because here we know that big corporations will have some obligation in terms of ESG capacity. We also bring some feature around security to be able to log off some user after some times of inactivity. You also need to hide some price, some information on the invoice because you don't want to display that to the client all the time. Plus also the ability to mass edit some information because the bigger the company, the bigger the volume will be. And if you want to edit that, you don't want all the time to export data to re-import that. Simply here, a mass edit, some formula, and you can quickly update all the data in few clicks. So here, all that to say that Odoo here is ready to disrupt and to crack the MMC market.
What I was explaining in the beginning is that we also worked a lot on the pre-sales efforts that we dedicate to convince our customer to start the journey with us. As you might know, the effort that we do in pre-sales is quite long. We go through a lot of different steps, not always the same, but it's kind of always the same principle that we face. We always get initial contact with our customer, and it's really the most important part, I think, of this journey is really to understand the context in which our customers are. Why are they reaching to Odoo? In which situation are they standing today? Are they reaching to change the whole landscape of application they have, or are they looking at a specific scope or business scope of feature? We also need to understand if it's a question about TCO, if it's a question about maintainability, a problem with an integrating partner they used to work with. It's about really understand the context, because this is at this moment that you will have to remind your customer every step of the way why they reach out to us and why they choose to discuss that with Odoo. The first contact can be a lot of different exchanges. It can last quite a long time. I will not go in details, but it can last a long time. But at one point, for almost, I would say, 80% of our customers, we receive a RFP or RFQ. For the people that don't know what it is, it's really a list of all the business needs that a customer has, also with all the context explained of why they are looking at changing their system, of how they are configured today, and a lot of requirements that are functional but also technical about security, etc. This provides to the customer the possibility to compare apple with apple, if I can say. Meaning that all the different competitors that answer to the RFP have to respect the same framework, the same regulation, the same timeline. So we are all compared on the same basis. So this is really also a topic where we really improved at Odoo for the last years. We dedicate a lot of time to provide quality answer, not always saying, okay, everything is doable. We take the time to really answering, explaining, preparing real phasing of the project that makes sense. We try really to go in details with the information that we have, because sometimes we do not have everything in our hand, but we try to do the best we can to be able to go to the next step, which is something that I will call way of working, but it's really to be able to see how our customers are working today. This is a really strategic step, because what we think at Odoo is that providing a generic demonstration of Odoo and of Odoo can look like is not something that will convince our customer. What we need to show to the customer is how, based on how they are used to work today, how they're going to work tomorrow with a new tool, an integrated platform that can be connected to other tools, yes, but that is easy to use. Well, I'm not going to sell you Odoo, but anyway, we need to explain them how they're going to solve the issue that they have today, and they need to project themselves within the tool of tomorrow. So we do ways of working, we try to understand everything, we have a lot of different conversation, and then we move on to the demonstration. This is where we're really good. We do demonstrations that are customized, not meaning that we do development, but customized, meaning that we like to do something where the customer sees its own product, its own customer, and really can imagine how it's going to be for them. So we do really specific demo. And even if we're already convinced about the phasing, about the budget, and about the demo, there are still strategic topics we need to tackle. This is maybe the area where we became even stronger than before, because before we used to say, okay, trust us, it's Odoo. Now we take the time to discuss this topic and to go really in details about it. I will detail a bit the topic just in the next slide, but this is really something we became better at. And of course, it always ends up in legal discussion, where we take the time to really address any concerns that the customer has and take the time to discuss with our dedicated department also that we created for the past years. These are the strategic topics. I cannot put all the strategic topics here. Not everything is strategic for everybody, but I mean, generally speaking, these are the topics that today we are ready to answer to all of the questions. First of all, it is about security. Security, compliance, certification, how we manage all these strategic topics for larger corporations, which also are strategic for smaller ones, but the impact on a large corporation is a way more important than with a small customer. We take the time to answer directly, but we also engage the service team and the recently created security team in this conversation, so we can really talk about the topic that we know. There are also a lot of different discussions that we have about the hosting. So Gregory has been explaining about Odoo SH. Odoo SH is a powerful platform, but sometimes the customer needs to be reassured about performance, about scalability, about is it going to be strong enough? The answer is yes. There are a lot of concerns about that, but we have improved a lot to Odoo SH. I'm not a technical person, so I'm not going to go in details about it, but really we try to explain, and we sometimes even do performance tests for a customer to prove them that actually it does the job. We have also a lot of different conversation about the governance of the project. It is a key topic, in this project, because we are creating a governance team at Odoo, but we expect also to have a strong team at our customer. So we need to explain what our expectation, what is the role of each of the person involved in the project at Odoo, but also at the customer. Why choosing the right product owner is key. We also do some RACI metrics, because they need to understand who is responsible of what, who is going to do what and when. We explain the different flow of each task that we will deliver, because the customer needs to be reassured about, okay, they know how we work and they know how they're going to deliver, and I will also have a view on everything that will happen in the next stage of the project. What we also improved for the past years, it's our advisory role. I would say that we used to be Odoo expert. We are still Odoo expert, obviously, but what we have also developed is experience, and experienced people also. So we can have conversation, advice on what would be the right phasing, why they shouldn't do this rollout because it's a too big a risk on doing the other one, explaining the impact of doing this choice or this choice, explaining how change management is important, and we've been developing that for the past year. So today we can really put the hat of the expert also on implementing a software, and that can really help the customer in choosing to work with us, but also in making the right decision later in the process. So all these different steps, strategic, legal, etc. So finally start somewhere and to have our customer engage already in the discovery phase. So for people that don't know what's a discovery analysis here at Odoo, I will explain you a little bit. So the objective of the discovery analysis is to go through different workshops, as is workshops and then to-be workshops, to be able to really understand how the customer works today, a little bit like the ways of working, but way more in details and with the right key users on the customer side, so all different workshops. Understanding how they work, to be able to, after that, find solution within Odoo and explain them in the to-be workshop how it's going to be tomorrow. That help them to make choice. Am I going to do this development? Am I going to go for the standard feature here? Is it really important to go there? Because actually there is this scope that I can add to the scope and it's going to be the same price for me and I will have more added value. So it's really showing and helping the customer to project themselves, but it's the opportunity also for the customer to engage more people in the different conversation by having key users involved and already onboard them on the change and on our methodology. So the discovery analysis actually today is a strong asset of Odoo in our project. It's something that reduces uncertainty for the customer in terms of business validation, so they know what they're going to implement, because sometimes they want to do a lot, but right now it becomes concrete. They know where they're going. They also identify the risk. They know where they need to be careful, and we already try to find solutions with them to mitigate the risk. It creates alignment internally and externally. What I mean is that internally, by having everybody involved in this discovery analysis, they know where to go. They know what's the vision of the project for the project manager or the CEO or the CFO, anybody who is the sponsor of the project. It's the opportunity to align everybody on the customer side on the objective of the project and why they are making these choices right now. But it's also the opportunity for the customer to align with us, meaning that we have a methodology. Greg will explain high level what are the important aspects of it. And by already working together during the discovery analysis, it's the moment where we can align. Where was it a success? Where it was a little bit more complicated? Do we need to adapt a little bit on the customer side, on Odoo side? Are the right people at the right spot on the customer? And it's really the initiation of the rest of the project. But it's also a really good tool for us to build confidence. The customer feel more prepared for the project, obviously, because they have a plan of implementation, they have a budget, they have a planning, they know where to go, they have a phasing of the project. And it's also about confidence in the feasibility of the project. You can have a lot of ideas of what you want to do within your company, but once you see it in the to-be workshop, once you have a budget, a planning, the solution in a statement of work or every business need and all the solution, you're like, normally you should say, okay, it's doable. What I'm about to do something that will work normally. Discovery analysis is a strong asset, but what I want to emphasize also is why our DNA remains an asset in this market. So we've been talking about years how we like to challenge our customer, or we like to say no to some request, or we like to say no, you can do that in standard, you don't have to develop this or this feature. Actually, in this market is even a better asset than in the small market, because all the time we put the hat and we take the mission to challenge the customer from day one. And every step of the project, we need to remind to the customer, this is why you choose us. You choose Odoo to be challenged and to not over-complexify your project. And sometimes it's hard, let's be honest, it's hard for us, but it's even hardest for the implementation team, because they always have to remind why, but it allows us to be on the first pillar of the DNA, is keep the efficiency going on. So we like to deliver fast. We like to deliver added value fast. We don't want to over-complexify stuff when it can be simple, and at the same time, that doesn't mean that we don't realize the complexity of the customer that we have in front of us. We just think that sometimes it can be done in a more easy way in Odoo, and it will simplify also their processes. And if it's not doable, then we discuss and we do the development, because we understand that the development has more added value than changing the process with our customer. And this is where the mission that we have from the start is important, and we always have to find a middle way between challenging and also understanding that the business complexity requires for us to adapt also the tool to the customer. But we like to first make sure it's important. The last of I think pillars that makes us is the transparency. We are transparent about what the customer can expect from us from day one. In the first contact that we have, we try to explain to the customer, okay, this is how it's going to happen. I need to understand how you work to be able to answer you how you're going to do it in Odoo. I need you to take time to explain you a little bit, to explain me the process that you have so I can give you a good demonstration and not a sales demonstration, really a good one that helps you to project your company in the system. We are transparent about what can expect, and we try to stay consistent about the transparency every step of the way. So in the way we price our project, in the way we price our licenses, we try to be transparent, it's straightforward, it's clear, and we try to stay ourselves also in this corporate segment that requires to be adapted, of course, but I think these pillars makes Odoo quite strong also there.
So a small recap here. So to be able to attack the mid-market sector, so we had to adapt ourselves. So we adapt the company, we adapt the product to be able to answer different needs. We also adapt the way we approach the customer, and we are, I would say, pitching the Odoo methodology and the Odoo product to the client. And here the last part we also adapt is our methodology. Here we follow one single and common methodology, regardless that we are approaching an SME or large corporation. So here we stick to our principle, which is challenge the need, stay as standard as possible, and deliver the project on time and on budget. And for that, so we follow all the principles to make sure that we deliver fast, that we are, I would say, to the point, and to keep the efficiency at the maximum level. But of course, we had to adapt, because here, bigger project has, I can say, bigger impact. We have to mobilize more people, so we cannot really simply deliver a project as we do for SMEs. Because on SMEs, we have, I can say, one single point of contact, where in large company, we have a broader audience we have to keep updated. So here, we have few differences to be able to tackle the market. So here, the first topic here is about the project planning and governance. So here we need to provide a clear view and a long-term view, because those kind of projects tend to last longer, maybe 1 year, 2 years, or even more. But of course this is phased and we can have multiple go live during the project. The governance is also an important topic that I'm going to detail just after. The stakeholder management. As I said before, so we cannot stick to the single point of contact principle. We need to be able to extend our channel of communication, to be able to dispatch the messages, the information across the team to the right level in the company, to the sponsors, to the project manager, to different BA, different developer, even different department within the company, or even different company within one single group. We also have to handle a proper risk management policy, because here we have to identify all the potential risks that can put your project at risk, of course. And so here to be able to identify that, to anticipate what can be anticipated, and to put the right solution behind that, and to communicate that, because not everything is on our side. You have to put also the to-do on the client side, because he also has to take some action to make sure that the project is a success. The training and support. Training is an important aspect, because here, bigger project, bigger company, meaning bigger amount of user and people who are going to use the system. And so bigger the risk that people can make mistake. And here, one mistake reproduced by 1,000 people can have, I can say, a massive impact. So here, that's why here the training aspect is something important that we want to tackle from day one, and we want to make sure that those training aspects are taken into account to avoid the issue NMS just before or after the go live. And of course, the implementation strategies are different, because here, bigger scope, bigger company, we need to cut the project into several blocks to be able to deliver some aspects and make sure that the company is using Odoo as soon as possible. And for that, we have some focus points. So some aspect that we want to put the highlight on is the transparency and the collaboration, and of course communication here, because here we don't want to sweep anything under the rug. We want to be very transparent, to communicate everything as soon as we have the information. So here we build one common project tool where everyone has the access to all the tasks, all the tickets, can communicate on the ticket, make the task move from one stage to another. So here we give access to all our clients to our portal access. So no need to exchange email, to discuss over different channels. Everything is logged into the project tool where everyone can be updated on the project status or on the status of a task. We also want to measure the progress and keep high velocity. So for that, we want to be able to set up some dashboard, to be able to provide some simple but accurate KPIs to make sure that everyone is aware of how the project is going. Are we shifting in sort of planning? Is the budget increasing or not? Do we face a lot of change requests? So we need to monitor all kind of things like that to make sure that everyone is still aligned with the project vision and on the project direction. And if something is shifting in one direction or another, we need to make everyone aware to make sure that we take the proper action to fix the issue or accept that we are changing the plan and we need to build a new one. And here is the counterpart of the training, is the people adoption. Because in the end, the product is developed and made for the user. And so we need to make sure that the end user will adopt the system, will accept to jump on Odoo. Otherwise, we're going to face some resistance to the change, and so it can be an issue. That's something we need to put in place from day one. And here the last aspect is that we need to bring experienced people, because we need to take the hat of the advisory role as well, to not only be the Odoo expert, but also be able to advise the client on what he should do, why he should not think about this phasing, why he should not put maybe this feature on top of his list, and see a bit how we can advise the client to deliver the best project. And for that we need people that have experience in Odoo, but also outside Odoo. So here I wanted to highlight some more important aspects, like the stronger governance. So here we don't want to spend too many times in meetings, because what we want to do is to deliver the project, to deliver tasks, to develop, to customize, to configure Odoo. And so, but we still need some regular touch point, like steering committee with all the sponsors, the different stakeholders, but also project committee, where we gather all the project team together to make sure that we are all aligned on what we are doing, what we are working on, what are the issues, what is blocking, what is not blocking. If we spend too much time on this aspect, what can we do, what info is missing, and blah, blah, blah. So to make sure that we are sharing all the information, to continue to be transparent and to cooperate as one single team to make sure that we deliver the project on time. KPI is also something important, because how can we measure that the project is in a good direction if we don't have like small KPIs? No need to have tons of numbers, otherwise people will get lost and will be drowned under number. We need to follow some simple but accurate KPIs. KPIs that if we see some number, that we can action based on those numbers. If there is a change in those numbers, we need to do something based on that, and not having numbers just for having numbers and provide dashboard just for that. And so we provide active monitoring and follow-ups to make sure that all the decisions we took in the steering committee are put into action in the project delivery. So here, as I said, we have most of the time a bigger audience. And so here we changed also our team internally. So we have a bigger team, we have a dedicated project manager, we have 1 or 2 BAs, we have developers fully assigned to the project. And on the client side, we also switch from the single point of contact concept to a product owner and business owner principle, where we can mobilize experts in some areas, where we can make sure that we get the right info at the right time, but we want to keep one person that is responsible for the global vision of the product, which will be the product owner, and he will be able to make some decision if some business owners are not aligned in what we need to do. So here, managing all this group is not something easy. That's why we need to have all those kind of meetings, and so we need to also to smooth and to streamline all the communication channel and make sure that we are not spreading all the info with an uncontrolled method. Another important aspect is the change management, because here adapting a company with one person is something easy, because you have just to train and to convince one person. If you are moving to a bigger and bigger company, then it makes stuff more complex. So here, that's why it's important to have and to put in place the right strategy as soon as possible. but don't take change management, I'd say, as a magic one. It will not make sure that the project is a success. But no strategy or a wrong strategy can lead to a real messy project where people will not adopt Odoo or will fight against the project. They will find solution to stay out of Odoo or to not accept or validate the project scope or content. So it's really important to tackle that, to find the best way to convince people that Odoo is a good solution for them. It can take any format, like videos, articles, mini session, training session. We also send sometimes the lab Odoo to a client to make sure and to showcase Odoo, and so they can play with Odoo. So to make some communication around the project, so it's not a surprise for them that they're going to change from one software to another. Because it's always risky to make those changes, but we need to make the people confident that Odoo is the right solution. So here, to conclude here, so we tried many things over the last year. So we adapt ourselves to make sure that we are going in the right direction. So here, we try to act like other competitors, like Microsoft, SAP, to follow a bit the trend and the way they did. So it was sometimes a win, sometimes a failure. We try to be, I could say, too much corporate than what we can do. So here we came back to our DNA, to what we do, to keep stuff simple, to move fast, to stay as standard as possible, and to continue to challenge the client. But here, and we also try to put as many rules as possible. We try to put stuff in, some process in place to really make sure to secure all the discussion we can have and to anticipate everything. But at the end, what we want to insist is that the common sense always prevails. Because here what we saw is that every project is a bit specific, and we need to take that into account. We cannot define a 100% framework that will cover all the cases. We need to find what can be changed, what can be adapted, or what must be adapted to be able to refit and answer the customer need. And it can be from any level in terms of team structure, the sales approach, the budget, the planning, the monitoring, or the project delivery aspect. So here it can be anything. So here we continue also to challenge ourselves to find the best solution to continue to disrupt the market and to attack and to win bigger and bigger deal. So here, what I can say, it's only the beginning, and so we hope for the best and to continue to attack bigger and bigger company and to win a bigger deal. Thanks a lot for your attention. So we now going to switch to the Q&A session. So here you again have the QR code, so feel free to scan it and to ask the question on the pad, and we're going to answer them right away.
Thank you very much, Greg and Charlotte, for this insightful presentation. We have some questions. Do not hesitate to add the questions. I will continue reading them as they arrive. The first question is, how do you define a large corporation in terms of numbers of users and or revenue?
That's a good question. We don't define a large corporation in terms of revenue. We define a large corporation in terms of number of employees or complexity of the customer we have in front of us, complexity of the landscape. So there is not one definition, but obviously we had to split a little bit the role within Odoo internally, and usually every company that has more than 250 employee could be considered as large, but it depends on the project, obviously.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Do you have and could you share a client case where change management was done, and examples, and at which point of time this was discussed with the client, with the change management, with you?
So we had a case where I would say the change management were done in a wrong way, and so the issue we face is that the main key user really switched to be really against Odoo and tried to find any solution to block the project. And so here the management were pushing him to give us information, but he did not really want to get into Odoo, and so we had to find other solution to reconvince that, because we reached a point where we planned the go live, and as soon as we announced the date, he said that he will go on vacation for 3 weeks around this date, just to make sure that he will not be there to help his colleague. So here what we had to do is really to find solution, and we used one simple one, is just to sit next to him and to talk to him to see why he was against Odoo, And what we found is that it was just because he was not involved in the selection of the product. He felt that we did not listen to what he was needed, and that we were developing a software to be able to get rid of him because he was leaving the company in the next 3 years, something like that. So here, by just doing that, sitting for 2 hours next to him, we convinced him that we heard his feedback, that we're gonna solve the situation and the issue he faced in that case. And then as soon as we did that, a few days later, he switched to an ambassador of Odoo, and he makes sure that the project was a success. And for some cases where we did that from day one, so it was a case where we sent the lab Odoo to the client side, it was a real success, and we saw that the user really wanted to use Odoo. They went in the truck, play with the system, build the stool to do that, and really wanted to see how it can help them to better operate internally. And so here we continue, and the project is still ongoing for us now for a few years, and the client is super happy. He even came last year to testify at the OXP to make a talk last year, and I think even the year before as well.
Very happy ending.
Yeah.
How do you prevent to include gaps detected during the initial scope in MMC implementations?
I'm not sure to understand the question. If we identify, the purpose of the gap analysis is to identify the gaps with the standard of Odoo and with the process that the customer has. So we cannot just not include the gaps that we identify. We have to include them in a way. So I'm not sure to understand the question.
Yeah, if the question was not answered right, you can maybe come right after the presentation to discuss it directly with Charlotte and Greg.
Yeah.
How important is the collaboration between sales and services team to win MMC contracts? Can you share some examples of what you did or what you do?
A lot. I think the service team don't like me anymore because I've been asking them so much help. But
no, we still like you.
So there are a lot of different examples, but generally speaking, the idea is to have a salesperson that obviously have the first contact of the customer, that has a good relationship with the customer, but that is able to lead, and I'm really insisting on that, to lead the delivery of everything up until the discovery / the implementation of the project. Meaning that we are, in the sales team, responsible of making sure that the service team is working with us. So it can come from at any stage. It can be about preparing a super complex demonstration where we ask to the expert team to help. Of course, we are trying to be generalist and to know about Odoo functionalities, but it's true that sometimes we have in front of us the CFO of a big companies. Sometimes we have to help to ask to an expert to come with us because we know that they will have the right wording to answer the question. They will understand more the complexity than us. It can be also later in the ways of working, preparing the demo. It can be budgeting also, because sometimes we have to provide high-level estimation of a project without knowing exactly what will be the concrete of the project. So we need to take risk, decide together, be aligned on the strategy. It can be during the pre-sales phase also, where it's always about finding the middle way between the service aspect that will be trying to anticipate risk and the sales that will ask to the service team to take a bit more risk. So there are a lot of examples. Feel free to come.
No, it works very well because we are involved, like say, quite soon in the process, and we are part of building, I would say, the offer. Because in the end, we're gonna have to deliver what has been sold, and so it really works well because we can also put our, I would say, concern, our risk, our way of thinking, and what we want to be implemented later in the phase inside this offer creation. So here it really works very well because here we can share our concern, they can share what they want to do, and we can find the best trade-off between all of that and make sure that the project will be the best in the end for everyone.
Okay, thank you. How many consultants are needed for a big project? And how many days consultancy is needed? SAP is often 100 plus days.
Yeah, for sure, us too. I mean, for a big project means a lot of things. You can have a big corporation that only wants to implement help desk. Then we're not going to invoice 100 days to implement that for sure. The idea is to adapt the project team to the customer. I would say that a theoretical project team will be a project director, a technical lead, working with business analysts and developers. Sometimes the expert team that we have can help from time to time on specific subject, but they will not be most of the time in the core team. And the 100 days plus, for sure. I mean, we have projects that can be way longer than that. Even if we're trying to be efficient, there is some stuff we have to deliver, so it takes time to deliver a full scope for a big project.
To convince a client to sign a project, and when the pre-sales is for free, on what moment do you usually present the quotation?
That's a good question. I think the fact that we invest a lot of pre-sales is possible thanks to the size of the company we have, obviously. I don't present the quotation quite early. Maybe I should do it more. But most of the time is to already try to explain a high-level estimation of the process, the project, as soon as possible, but explaining to the customer all the different hypotheses and how the customer can have an impact on this budget, because this is about that. Of course, and I think that makes us also good in this market, is that we don't like to provide a high-level estimation on the project and saying, okay, you have to sign and then we start. The idea is to really understand the complexity, explaining to the customer that the price, a budget on a project like that can really be impacted by how the customer is preparing themselves to the project. How is the project team? How they are able to challenge internally, how they are able to agree on the methodology that we have, how the people are in front of us. Are the product owner the right one, or are they going to ask a lot of questions? So the budget can shrink a lot and can explode a lot. So of course, during the discovery analysis, and the discovery analysis is a paid analysis, because I think it's important to make the difference with the pre-sales phase. During the discovery analysis, it already gives us an idea of who we have in front of us, and we adapt, obviously, the pricing at the end of the discovery analysis based on what we discover through the different workshops with the customer. But we make them responsible.
How do you collaborate with the Odoo product owner teams to fill the gaps specific for MMC clients?
In a lot of different ways.
Yeah. We try to send as much feedback as possible. So when we see something that can benefit to the product, so here we go usually through the expert channel. So we have internally a team of experts that are a bit the point of contact to access the product owner. So they can, I could say, centralize all the feedback and see what can be transferred or what can be included in the Odoo standard. Or sometimes we also reach directly to the PO if we see a good opportunity to really improve some application through a project or to any other, I would say, opportunity that we can face. So here we use any challenge possible to really get the info and to push what we need to push to make sure that Odoo can really fit any business, regardless if it's an SME or a big company.
Okay, thank you. How is this methodology different than a gap analysis?
It's not that different. We're just better at it than before. We still identify gaps, and the gap analysis was quite a long time ago, but we try to provide a lot of different outcomes. So there is obviously the gap identified and how we're going to solve it functionally and technically speaking, but there is also a whole budget of phasing, planning approach, risk matrix, and a lot of different tools that can help the customer also to feel prepared for the next step of the implementation. But it's not that different, it's the same basis but improved.
Yeah, we don't want to stick, I would say, to a list of items or to a statement of work only, where the list of features that we need to implement, standard development, integration, and the price next to that. We want to be able to come with a project plan, I can say, with, as Charlotte said, so all the aspects, but also sometimes also some part of the change management policy, some hint that we can also provide to the client to see how we can switch from this phase, the discovery analysis, to the implementation, because here the discovery really a base to launch into the implementation, where we reset all the first step of the methodology and the project mindset we're gonna implement.
What kind of KPIs do you look at to ensure a project success?
So here we looked at, I would say, easy KPI. So what was the initial budget? What are the budget we consumed? And what is the landing budget with all the change requests, all the tasks we have to re-estimate? Here we also check the number of change requests or the number of bugs. to see if we have an issue in terms of, I would say, respect of the plan from the client, if we have a lot of change requests, in terms of quality, if we have a lot of bugs / issues. And so we try to see also if we also switch and shift in terms of planning and stuff like that. So we don't have a lot of KPIs, it's mainly numbers and I would say common sense. We also look at the Kanban view to see where the bottleneck relies. If we have, because we have a stage for developments, we have the stage for the client validation. If we see that the tasks are piling up in some kind of stage, we know that the bottleneck can be there and we need to act on that. So here we have some easy KPIs, easy stuff to maintain and to spot to really make sure that we can take the right action and right on time.
What company is Odoo's largest user base and how many users are they?
I'm not sure we can share the name, but I think it's 5,000.
Yeah, one of the biggest was 4,500 employees, a worldwide consultancy company with the HQ in France.
And users, huh? It's not only
yeah,
employees.
it was users, not only employees.
Can a client stop the project after the discovery analysis?
Yeah, this is one of the thing we like to explain to our customer. We only engage for the discovery, so we don't ask the customer to engage to anything else at that stage, so they have a get out. But to be honest, most of our discovery analysis are transformed into implementation. It just, we assure the customer that if it doesn't work, or if for any reason they don't want to move forward or it's not the right time, they can just stop at the end of the discovery analysis.
Thank you, and we'll finish with a question that everybody loves. What makes Odoo a better choice than SAP?
You should ask our customer that. I think, well, my opinion is not about is a better choice than the other. It's really different. SAP is a really powerful tool that can answer to a lot of different needs. Sometimes, but it's fewer every year. To more complexity for some customers or specific or verticalization on some aspects, but it's not as user friendly. It's way more expensive. If you have questions about that, I could answer, but it's about the pricing too in terms of implementation, but also in terms of license. We do not lock our customer. It's a way different of negotiating here. What can you say? The tool is better. I mean, have you used Odoo? Did you try it? I mean, it's way more nice to use. And today, where SAP was better is what about answering to the complexity of this large corporation segment. But today we answer it too. So I think that sooner and sooner we will manage to switch some SAP customer. No, but not sooner. More often than. Well, anyway, more frequently we will transfer SAP customer to Odoo in the near future, and I'm still waiting for the change of generation too. I think that when the CEO of tomorrow will be leading the large corporation, Odoo will become quite an alternative that will be analyzed more often than today or than before.
Thank you, Charlotte, and thank you, Greg, for the talk.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.